Well, let's start right here with Cam Newton and just how hot he's been over the last 4 or 5 weeks.
He's been on fire. I know last week I took the stand that I didn't believe that the Carolina Panthers were the best team in the National Football League. But I've been steadfast in my belief that Cam Newton is the MVP. There you see the last 4 weeks, 11-1 touchdown to interception ratio. The completion percentage is in the upper 60s. And he's doing a great job of simply making the plays when his team needs them. That's what MVPs do, and that is what he's giving the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, he forces you to defend so much of the field because he's going to attack vertically with his arm. You look at this play right here, Buck. I mean, the throw that he made on the long touchdown to Ted Ginn, you're not supposed to be able to do this. When your hips are wide open, pointing to the left, and you uncork one sidearm to the right and drop it in the bucket of Ted Ginn, you don't see that very often.
Now, this speaks strictly to his arm talent, his ability to drop the ball. You're talking about a 50, 55-yard pass on the money, throwing across his body without incorporating his legs, speaks to the special kind of passer that he is. But imagine if he ever fixes those mechanical flaws, how good he could be. And so if you're a quarterback coach, if you're an offensive coordinator, you're excited about working with Cam Newton because he's just scratching the surface of his potential.
And to me, I was beginning to talk about the fact he makes you defend so much of the field. So you're going to run the football. There is a play earlier in this game where Cameron Jordan, the most talented pass rusher for the New Orleans Saints, it's a key down. There's a little bit of a play fake. But he's so worried about losing contain and letting Cam Newton get outside. He doesn't even rush the quarterback. Cam Newton sits there, has time to read left to right, find his target, and throw a touchdown pass because he gives you so much to defend. To me, it's a huge challenge for whoever's going to face this Panther team as we come in the postseason. I think they got a legitimate shot to run the table, largely because of the way Cam Newton is threatening defenses.
Yeah, he's a dual threat. 31 total touchdowns. His ability to affect the game in so many different capacities. You know, if you get inside the red zone, he's the ultimate red zone weapon, knows how to punch it in better than anybody in football. But now we're seeing a guy that is really maturing into a nice pocket passer, throwing the ball on the perimeter. I'm seeing a guy that works through his progressions before he gets the ball out of his hands. And so when you have a quarterback that is growing like that, and Mike Shula deserves a lot of credit for building the offense around his kind of a multiple skill set, this offense is tough to defend. I still want to see it play against a heavyweight defense, see how it stacks up. But right now, there's not much you can say critical of the Carolina Panthers nor Cam Newton.
I like the fact that he's starting to throw guys open even now. He's showing trust. Had a pick early on in that game. Delvin Breaux jumped a route on Ted Ginn and ended up coming back to that exact same route just very soon thereafter. So the confidence is at an all-time high. You got a question for us, TD?
Yeah, this game is one of those games that had about 4 or 5 big plays on its own. It could have had a couple more if it wasn't for Ted Ginn. But my question is, you guys know I love to rank him, so let's ask this. Cam Newton is the best pass quarterback in the NFL today.
So
where does he rank?
Where would he rank?
Yeah.
In the top quarterbacks. Who you want to go first here, TD? It's your call
let's
here.
do DJ first. Let's go first on this.
All right, I'll jump in here. And this is based on what we've seen this year, how these guys are playing at the position solely. I'm not taking anything into the past. I'm not looking into the future. I'm basing what we've seen right now. I still put Tom Brady at number 1. And I went back and watched their game against the Philadelphia Eagles, Buck. I mean, he's putting balls in tight windows. He's got nowhere to go with the football, but he's still making throws. Balls were dropped. He's got nobody to go to. But I'd still take Tom Brady number 1 with the way he's played this year. I got Cam Newton number 2, just off what we've seen this year. You referenced the overall touchdowns, Buck. When you look at him, he's 4th in the NFL in rushing touchdowns. So not only is he going to threaten you in the passing game, 25 touchdowns, 10 picks, he's 29th in the league in rushing yards. So he's got more rushing yards than some of these teams. Man, he's just such a threat. I have him number 2. Carson Palmer playing out of his mind. He's been dealing in Arizona with their variety of weapons, number 3. I would have Aaron Rodgers, the big Hail Mary the other day. He'd been, the numbers have kind of come down as teams have taken away those layups that he was getting earlier on in the season. He would come in at 4. And then Ben Roethlisberger, I would have him coming in as my number 5, Buck.
I mean, that's an impressive top 5. And I have most of the same names, but I have them in a little bit different order. To me, my top 5 goes Big Ben at number 1, Tom Brady at number 2, Carson Palmer at 3, Aaron Rodgers is 4, and Cam Newton, to me, comes in at 5. And part of the reason I put Cam at 5 behind those guys, I think consistently we're seeing those guys probably perform at a little higher level from the pocket. But what Cam brings is he's the ultimate red zone weapon. He's a guy that can punch it in with his legs. He's showing the ability to be able to find wide open receivers downfield, particularly in the red zone. And so it's hard to knock what Cam Newton has done. I have him in my top 5. I just don't have him up there with those other guys in terms of being one of the top 2 passers or playmakers in the game.
Buck, you know I love you. I respect you. But you can't tell me you have Ben Roethlisberger number 1 on this list.
How is that possible, Buck?
Come on, Buck. What, TD? I fight my own fight. I don't need TD.
How is that possible?
How's Big Ben number 1?
Big Ben's number 1. 6 of his 8 games, he has over 300 yards. When he is healthy and he plays with that wide receiver core, they are the most explosive offense in football.
This is a prisoner of the moment, Buck. He's got 15 touchdowns, 9 picks.
I'm okay with that.
15 and 9.
Tom Brady threw how many interceptions?
15 and 9. Cam Newton's got 25 and 10. Plus, he's the fourth most rushing touchdowns in the league.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
He torched the Indianapolis Colts as he did last year. Threw for a bunch of yards against the Seattle Seahawks. They didn't win that game. You cannot honestly tell me you'd have Ben over Cam Newton.
Absolutely, absolutely.
15 and 9.
15 and 9. I'm confident. Like, look, we saw him throw for almost a half 1,000 against the Legion of Boom, didn't win, but that's fine. And then he comes back against the Indianapolis Colts, lights them up. Now I like Cam Newton, and I love what he's done, but like he's had 5 touchdowns and 2 performances. One against the New Orleans Saints, who I think they just gave up another touchdown. They just gave up another touchdown. It's the worst pass defense in the history of the game, so he should be able to torch them. The Washington Redskins, he ate them up, but like the Washington Redskins aren't a great pass defense. So I like what Cam Newton, I think he has come a long ways as a pocket passer, but right now, Big Ben Roethlisberger is the elite quarterback in the game. He is the guy that we are going to trumpet as the best quarterback in the game for the next 2 to 3 years.
Buck, come on, man.
Man, I'm saying, like, and we will see this because I hope they also get into the playoffs because then everyone will have the opportunity.
So we're going back. I just want to go through these game logs here real quick. So I'm looking at Ben's big games this year. 3 touchdowns against San Francisco. Are they an elite defense, Buck?
No, that was early in the year too. Right?
Early in the Cleveland, 3 touchdowns. Are they an elite defense?
I mean,
not so much. And then he has 4 against Indianapolis. Those are his big games.
They are.
I mean, I don't think there's 85 Bears in that mix anywhere.
Well, I mean, I just know the Washington Redskins don't have Dexter Manley nor Darrell Green. So I can't worry about those guys playing.
I mean, look,
and then the New Orleans
I'm not a slave to numbers,
I think
but
we
those numbers don't make that
find 11 people in the building at NFL Media's office and put 11 people out there and do a better job of defending the pass. Brandon Browner is as stiff as this camera, this locked-in camera that we have here. They are going at him left and right. All of Cam Newton's throws, touchdowns went to the cameraman. They went to Brandon Browner. So, like, I like what Cam has done. Hats off. I said 31 total touchdowns. I have him number 5. I have him behind some
9, Buck. I can't get with you on that one.
Cam is 25 and 10.
TD,
10 interceptions.
First of all, we can agree on one thing. TD, stay out of our fight, okay? We don't need producer TD.
Also, now look, Cam is not completing 60% of his passes. I want to say he's like at 54% of his passes.
Let me just. We didn't even talk about this real quick. I know you talked about Browner being the cameraman being stiff. I mean, I don't know that anybody's really going to confuse Ted Ginn and Jericho Cotchery with Martavis Bryant, Antonio Brown, and Marcus Wheaton anytime soon either. Now
look, that's not Big Ben's fault that David Gettleman doesn't.
I'm just saying the guy's got 25 touchdowns. So did Ted Ginn.
I mean, Martavis Brown was a 4th-round pick. Antonio Brown was a 6th-round pick. I'm not saying that they committed a lot of capital to those guys. They may just do a better job of developing their receivers.
No, the whole point is that what he has to play with is a wholly different animal than what Cam Newton's playing.
6th-round pick. 4th-round pick. Marcus Wheaton was a 2nd-round pick. Ted Ginn was number 7 in the draft.
Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick.
He's number 7 in the draft. He was a 1st-round pick.
Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. I'm talking about if they value is if they hit the market.
A top 10 pick. That's a blue chip talent that he's playing with in Ted Ginn. Based on his draft status.
Come on.
Well, it's based on his draft status.
Based on his draft status.
Value to me.
That's where he was drafted.
Forget draft status has nothing to do with it. Value to me is if they're all free agents right now. You tell me what the pool of skill players in Pittsburgh would command as free agents right now versus what the Carolina skill players would command.
Those are some good players.
It's not even close.
Those are some good players. They've been developed really well under Big Ben. Big Ben does a great job on the practice field of developing those guys. And look, Cam has done a great job because what he's being asked to play with, Jericho Cotchery, Ted Ginn Jr., and some of the other guys that they're trotting out there, look, he's done a great job of getting production out of those guys. But in terms of a guy that I can put in my offense, so we did the EXO replay. Cam is a remarkable talent. But in terms of his mechanics, and so he's making great plays in spite of not necessarily being a textbook quarterback. And I can appreciate that. But Big Ben is a guy who I said for a long time, from the time he came out, that is who Cam Newton will ascend to be. Big Ben Roethlisberger.
This is my last point, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of credit here. It's my last thing I'm going to say. I will give you this. In the Carolina Panthers losses this year, Cam Newton's really, what? Hold
they
up,
don't
they're
have any losses.
undefeated.
They don't have any losses.
Carolina hasn't lost a game.
And they probably won't lose.
Interesting.
In that division, they won't lose.
16-0, maybe?
They won't lose. They won't lose. A lot of tough defenses in the NFC South.
Good points, guys.